This is the Bots and Bosses podcast, the only show where artificial intelligence, emerging tech, and digital disruption meet real-world business. Presented by technologist, author, and no-nonsense navigator of the future, John Bix. It's Tech Talk without the jargon. Now, let's deep dive.
Welcome to the Bots and Bosses podcast, presented by John Bix. This is episode 35, and originally aired on January 30th, 2026. Today's show is sponsored by Titan Technologies, shaping the future through innovative and transformational solutions. Check out their website at www.titantechnologies.com.
It is great to be back, and today we are tackling something that sits right at the intersection of, well, heavy engineering and the bottom line.
We absolutely are. And honestly, I feel like this deep dive is a little overdue.
Yeah.
Usually when we talk about AI, it's all about the magic tricks.
Right, the wow factor.
Exactly, the generated images, the chatbots writing sonnets. But today we are putting on the hard hats. We are going deep into the engine room.
And looking at what makes all that magic actually affordable.
That is the key word right there, affordable.
Because right now, the economics of AI are, let's just say they're struggling to balance.
Exactly. We're looking specifically at Microsoft's big announcement, the Maia 200. This is the new custom-built AI accelerator chip Scott Guthrie just dropped the details on. And the mission for this deep dive is pretty specific.
Yeah.
We want to understand why Microsoft, a software company, is suddenly obsessing over the silicon that runs the AI.
It's a fascinating pivot. If you look at the last, 3 or 4 years, the headlines have all been about training. Who has the biggest cluster?
Right. Who built the biggest brain?
It was an arms race, for sure. But now we are entering the era of utility. And the Maia 200 isn't just another processor, it's a specialized tool. Because here's the harsh reality. Training is expensive, sure, but it's a capital expenditure. It's a one-time cost.
But running the model for millions of users.
That's operational expenditure. That is where the bank accounts get drained.
Let's unpack this immediately.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people hear AI chip and just assume it's a faster graphics card. We need to clarify inference. What are we talking about when we say that?
Right. It's the difference between learning and doing. Think of it like this. Training an AI model is like sending a human to medical school. It takes years, costs a fortune.
Okay, so that's the education phase.
Yeah.
Heavy investment, high energy.
Precisely. Inference is the doctor actually working in the clinic, seeing a patient, looking at symptoms, and giving a diagnosis in real time. That's the model actually working.
Generating responses in Copilot or whatever.
Exactly. Now, here's the problem. Imagine if every time a doctor saw a patient, it cost the hospital $10,000 in electricity because they had to reread all their textbooks.
That is a wildly inefficient hospital.
It is. And that's the problem with using general purpose training hardware for inference. It's overkill.
I see. So training is the education, inference is the daily job. And we need that daily job to be cheap and fast.
Perfectly put. And the Maia 200, it's not designed for the medical school part. It's designed for the clinic. It is engineered specifically for AI inference workloads. Not a general purpose GPU that does a bit of everything. It's a specialist.
And that's specialization.
Yeah.
That must be what lets them do things differently under the hood.
That's it. It allows Microsoft to strip away anything that isn't necessary for, generating tokens and optimize everything else for pure speed and efficiency. They cut the fat.
Let's talk about that under the hood stuff. Because the specs are, they're big numbers. First off, it's built on TSMC's 3-nanometer process. We hear nanometer thrown around a lot.
We do. And to put it simply, TSMC's 3-nanometer process is the cutting edge. Smaller numbers mean you can pack more transistors into a smaller space.
More transistors, more power, better efficiency.
That's it. It's like packing more brain cells into the same size skull.
A good way to view it. And when we talk about the performance of those brain cells, we have to talk about FLOPS.
Yes.
Floating point operations per second. The Maia 200 is pushing over 10 petaflops at 4-bit precision.
And more than 5 petaflops at 8-bit.
Okay, for the listener, what is a petaflop? Give us a sense of scale.
A petaflop is 1 quadrillion floating point operations per second.
1 quadrillion, a 1 with 15 zeros.
Yes. So we're talking about 10 quadrillion calculations every single second. It's a number that's almost meaningless to the human brain. But in AI, that speed is what determines whether your chatbot replies instantly or, sits there, think it.
And you lose patience and close the tab. Speed is the user experience.
Right.
But there was a nuance there I want to catch. You mentioned 4-bit and 8-bit precision. We always hear about 32-bit or 64-bit, we want more bits. Why are we going down?
That is the secret sauce of modern AI inference, the FT4 and FP8 in the stacks. Traditionally, scientific computers like to be super precise, using 32 or 64 bits.
Which is great for building a bridge or landing a rover on Mars.
Exactly. But it turns out, for AI inference, for guessing the next word in a sentence, you don't always need that microscopic precision. By dropping down to 4-bit precision, you're simplifying the math. The data chunks are smaller and the chip goes wildly faster.
So it's like, instead of calculating pi to 1,000 decimal places, it calculates it to 5, which is plenty for baking a pie.
That's a great analogy. It's about good enough precision at God-tier speeds.
Now, speed is one thing, but you also have to move the data around. There's this redesigned memory subsystem, 216 gigabytes of something called HBM3E.
High bandwidth memory. This is crucial. Imagine you have a Ferrari engine. That's your 10 petaflop PS.
Okay.
But you put it on a single-lane dirt road. It doesn't matter how fast the engine is, you're stuck in traffic.
The traffic jam. The bane of every commuter and every computer.
Exactly. The memory bandwidth is the road. The Maia 200 delivers approximately 7 terabytes per second of bandwidth.
7 terabytes per second. That's, what, thousands of 4K movies in a single second?
Something like that. It just ensures there's almost no waiting for data. If the processor waits, you're wasting money.
And there's another spec. 272 megabytes of on-chip SRAM. Why call that out?
So think of the HBM as the trunk of the car lots of space. The SRAM, that's the glove box. It's the ultra-fast storage right next to the compute units for the data you need right now.
Keeps the beast fed.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't forget networking. Because these chips don't work alone, do they?
No, for the big frontier models, you need an army of them. Maia 200 has an integrated network on chip that lets thousands of these cluster together. A model like GPT-4 doesn't even fit on one chip. It's spread across many.
So if one chip is the left hemisphere and another is the right, the connection between them has to be instant.
Exactly. If the connection is slow, the brain stutters. Maia is designed to make sure that stutter is gone.
Okay, so we have a chip that is absurdly fast, has a massive highway for data, and talks to its neighbors perfectly. But here's where it gets really interesting for our listeners. If you aren't a chip architect, why care?
Because of the bots and bosses theme, this isn't just cool tech. It is business viability. It's the bottom line.
The so what factor. Give me the numbers.
Microsoft is claiming roughly 30% better performance per dollar compared to their current hardware.
30% better performance per dollar. That is a significant chunk of change.
In the cloud world, where you're spending millions, 30% is massive. It's the difference between a profitable product and a money pit.
So if I'm scaling up my AI service, suddenly my bill looks very different running on Maia 200.
That is the promise. And it's not theoretical. This isn't a paper launch. Microsoft has this deployed right now in Azure U.S. Central. It's already powering their own internal workloads.
So when I'm using Copilot, I might actually be hitting a Maia 200 right now.
There is a very good chance of that. Microsoft is eating their own dog food here, which, proves it works.
That brings it home. It's real tech solving a real money problem.
Yeah.
But Microsoft isn't the only player in town. If you were enjoying our podcast, please click like and follow our show. And remember to tell your friends about our show.
It really helps us out.
It does. Now let's look at the rivals. We've got AWS with Tranium, Google with TPUs. How does Maia 200 stack up?
Well, we have to look at this with a critical eye because right now we are relying on Microsoft's claims. But the numbers they're putting out are aggressive.
What are the specific claims?
They're claiming 3 times the FP4 performance of AWS's Tranium Gen3 in certain benchmarks. That 3x number is a headline grabber.
3 times faster or more efficient.
Raw performance throughput at that specific 4-bit precision. And they are also claiming that their FP8 performance exceeds Google's latest TPUs.
Those are fighting words in Silicon Valley.
They absolutely are. But, and here's the expert caveat, real-world results depend heavily on your specific workload. A benchmark is like a drag race.
Right, and your business might be driving on a winding mountain road with potholes.
Your code is the potholes, exactly. Industry adoption and how the chip handles messy, real-world data will be the true test. NVIDIA GPUs are the gold standard because they are flexible. They handle the messy stuff.
So don't just read the spec sheet and assume you win. You have to verify.
Precisely.
Which leads us perfectly to the practical side. If I'm a CIO or a lead architect, what do I do with this info?
It's a bit more nuanced than just flicking a switch. First and foremost, Review your cost
So
models.
dig into the spreadsheet.
You need to compare the economics. Does that 30% efficiency claim hold up for your specific app? If you're spending $50,000 a month on Inference and you can knock that down to 35.
That's a no-brainer. That pays for a junior developer.
Right. But is it just a switch? That leads to the second point. Assess compatibility. Not all models fit perfectly. If you have a model with a massive memory footprint, it might behave differently on Maia's architecture.
So test it first.
Pilot workloads are essential. Do not migrate production on day one. Spin up a sandbox, run your model, and see if it breaks or if it flies.
And what about the software? Custom chips can be a nightmare to program for.
Microsoft is trying to get ahead of that. They've released a Maia SDK preview. Crucially, it supports PyTorch, which is the industry standard.
Okay, so if I'm using PyTorch, which basically everyone is, I'm not starting from scratch.
Theoretically, no. It should feel familiar, and getting in early on that SDK can help you find optimization pathways before your competitors do.
You also mentioned a hybrid approach. What does that look like?
This is probably the smartest play for most large enterprises. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Plan for heterogeneous infrastructure.
Heterogeneous infrastructure. That sounds like a buzzword bingo winner. Break it down.
A mix and match strategy. Maybe you still use the big, expensive NVIDIA GPUs for training your models, but then, once the model is trained, you move it over to Maia for inference to save money on the daily operations.
That makes a lot of sense. Use the race car for the race and the semi-truck for the logistics.
Exactly. And this is where the cloud providers are heading. They want to give you a menu of silicon. What do you need to do today? Okay, we have a specific chip for that.
It really feels like we're seeing a maturity in the AI market. A couple of years ago, it was just, can we do it? Now it's, can we afford to do it at scale?
That is the defining shift of 2026. Maia 200 represents that mature phase. Cost efficiency is now dictating the infrastructure.
So as we wrap this, what does this all mean for the big picture? Microsoft, Amazon, Google, everyone's making chips.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, I think we're seeing the fragmentation of the cloud.
Fragmentation, that sounds ominous.
Not necessarily bad, just complex. It's no longer just about renting servers. Now it's about choosing the specific silicon DNA that matches your business model. And you have to ask yourself, will this lead to lock-in? If I optimize my code for Maia, can I ever leave Azure?
Right. If you tune your engine for one specific type of fuel, you can't go to a different gas station.
Exactly. But on the flip side, will this finally be the thing that makes AI profitable for the average enterprise? If we can drive costs down this much, suddenly business models that didn't work last year start to work today.
That is the billion-dollar question. Are we building a more efficient future or just a more walled garden?
It is likely a bit of both, but for the listener, the takeaway is clear. The hardware isn't just a commodity anymore. It is a strategic lever you can pull.
And a lever that might save you 30% on the bill. I like those kinds of levers.
We all do.
Well, that is a lot to chew on, from 10 petafloppy S to the bottom line of your monthly invoice.
It's the fastest moving target in tech history.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up our deep dive on the Microsoft Maia 200. Today's show was human-inspired and powered with AI assistance. Be sure to visit us, www.botsandbosses.com. Remember, the bots are getting smarter, but you're still the boss.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Bots and Bosses podcast. Remember, the bots are getting smarter, but you're still the boss. For now, see you next time.